They feel me like Braille.
Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of Across the Board. Sorry to disappoint some of you who saw that tweet. I was able to quickly find a shirt. So for the time being, there will be a shirt on. But that being said, we're going to have some shirt off energy tonight. Going to be sharing some news, some updates, and then some analysis on breeding, specifically GAC is a metric that I came up with, as well as breeding matches. So looking forward to sharing this all with you, no matter where you are tuned in, whether that be Twitch, YouTube, Kick, or X, Twitter. What is it called? X? I don't know. As always, everything that is presented on the show is not financial advice. This is for education purposes only. So let's get started tonight talking about news. A recent blog post just came out about the season 8 balance updates and kind of what we are looking forward to in upcoming seasons. So again, don't want to spend time just reading all this word for word, but I think there is some value here. And I'll just kind of do a quick recap. Let me just do a quick, that's not going to allow me to do that there. We'll go from here. It's trying to log me in. It's trying really hard to log me in. We'll get that text link out later, but focusing on the content of this. So big milestones. In season 7, there were $3 million of entry fees, $3.3 million in horse sales, $700,000 in two-party stud cover sales. New records for breeding volume, breeding report sales, horse sales, claiming fees, and entry fees. The other big thing is that race cancellation rate decreased to 12% from 24% in season 6 and 50% in season 5. So I think that's really huge. I'm really excited to see that number go down. I hope it continues to go down, but to go from 50 to 12 is just astronomically high. That is so incredible. Hats off to the team. Hope they continue driving in this direction, continue to find success. So to talk about some season 8 changes, breeding window from day 2 to 8. But the thing I want to, major race purse changes, juicing changes. That's kind of the gist of what I want to cover there. But season 9. So this is where I wanted to focus a little bit more. So the breeding window changes from the first 7 days to days 2 through 10. Work in progress. Minimum retirement age changes from age 3 to age 4, or all major races move to the latter half of the season after the breeding window. When thinking about this one, I really like the change from 3 to 4. Keep them out there, keep them racing. Moving major races to the end as an alternative, I don't think is really going to affect too much. I know in the bottom they talk about right dirt and how it allowed people to enter in major races, retire, like hit breeding, like check all those boxes. But I just think that, shifting it to the end of the month isn't really going to do that much, in my opinion. Hey, Mo, how you doing? Welcome. And so I think there'll be a larger impact in changing from 3 to 4 versus moving all major races to the latter half of the breeding window. Just give that extra month in there. Starting with season 9, changing previous 40% allocation of platform fees for end of season rebates to 30%. So 10% decrease in those rebates. And then with the 10%, so that difference, moving into race purses in season 9. So again, yes, it's changing. We might see a little less there, but we're once again getting transparency in where the money is going. And yeah, pushing it back into the ecosystem, I think, is a very smart move. It makes a lot of sense. Horses that are inbred will have a chance of a much more negative impact, especially the closer inbred generations are. So a few things about this and the way that this is worded. Hey, JG Web3, thanks for popping in. Is that it will have a chance of a much more negative impact. So it's not guaranteed, which I think is interesting. And then it says, especially the closer inbred generations are. So if in the bullet below says that inbreeding logic will change from checking 3 generations to 4 generations. So, if it's that initial generation, the parents' generation, there's inbreeding there. It still is kind of worded that there's a chance, but not necessarily guaranteed that it's going to be super negative. But if you have inbreeding now, then at generation 3, that likelihood could be even less. So, one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to or curious to see then, how does this impact changes over time and what does that look like? So, are we going to see a very high number of, if there is still inbreeding, penalties? Do the benefits outweigh the penalties? If so, at what generation? Does that become, if I can do inbreeding and stack some stats to say, um, at generation 3, is that going to, is there a potential like viable cost benefit analysis to me doing that? Like, could that actually make sense for me to go down that route? So I like the way that they worded this here. I think that's very interesting. I'd be really curious to see how this plays out in the future. Then they talk about why changes to breeding down below here, talking about, Right Dirt, how they could race for a major series and retire inbreed, effectively getting an extra season of breeding fees that other archetypes could not, which I think is great. And again, just adding that extra month, I think would be really, really big too. So I'm very much a fan of moving this back. Talking about sanctity exploits in terms of service, how, hey, current policy is warning, temporary freeze, and then warningless outright ban, including seizure of all assets upon further violation. Glad that they're taking this very seriously. And again, transparency is there. Their terms of service are out. I haven't read them all word for word. I can't imagine many people have. But, if you're playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, you're not doing anything malicious or taking advantage of anything, there shouldn't be an issue there. So yeah, and then just kind of summarizing by saying that it's been unbelievably exciting. And, I'm looking forward to continuing this journey personally, with this game and with this team in the coming months. So let's see if we can get this window open one last time here. There we go. Yep. All right. So we got the, that should now be in chat. If you want to read it all, the link is right there for your reference. Next thing we're going to talk about tonight is Jishin, 0 to hero. Jishin went on an absolute tear. And just going to show this here to illustrate it. But if we go back to, what is this? October 26th, first place, fourth, first, and then today, fourth. Absolutely insane. Yeah, 4 clovers. I'm loving this horse. So this is a horse I bred. My mare Wabi Sabi with Mo Nose, weekend moderator, 4,000 Derby breed, and currently is sitting at 51,000 Derby profit in 37 races. Currently 4 years old. So very, very, hey Siberia, how you doing? Welcome. Very, very happy with his performance. The winning streak broke today, but that is okay. I went back and forth on this a while. So this was a left turf yielding race that he was in, but you can see very close. Like just less than 0.2 of a second from fourth to first. But this race was off preference for him. So he loves soft. This one was yielding. That was a 40% chance of rain going into it. I took that chance willingly because I know this horse can be profitable. I know he can do very, very well. And looking forward at the race schedule, I didn't see anything for a while that really made sense for him to enter. And so I decided to take the risk, put him in this race purely mostly for the crown, but then knowing that there was a chance that he could hit profit here. Now he didn't. In fourth place, he ended up getting 777 crown with an entry fee of 900. So it wasn't a big loss. In fact, it still might have even been a net positive there. So 20, what's that math? 20.25 times what's crown? 0.56 right now. So that's an extra $11 on top of that. And we do 900 minus 777. That's 123 Derby and divided by 80. Yeah, so he should be fine in terms of whoop, we are jumping ahead. In terms of money, again, and not something I'm overly concerned with there. We got a question in chat. Is he good enough for a stud barn or too low of a grade? So that really depends on your breeding strategy. His grade is A minus. He will, I mean, make his way to the stud barn. I will put him in there. But I will do that, after I feel confident that he can no longer race. So it's going to be a few months. That being said, like, what does your stable look like? What does your breeding strategy look like? Obviously, this is proof. A minus horses can be very profitable in this game. Sure, having an S with a crazy win rate would be much more profitable, but it's fun. I'm winning a lot, and it's there. So if you have a mare that's maybe B plus, A minus even, this could be worthwhile to breed to maintain grade. If you don't care about potentially going down in grade and you've got an A plus mare you want to breed with Jishin, go for it. But yeah, he will be added in when that time comes. But yeah, until then, I'm going to go slightly off preference until something hits, but being mindful, looking forward into the race schedule to see when that next opportunity is coming up and make sure that he is fully rested for that opportunity. When can we buy a share? would love that. Yeah, ton of winning. Absolutely loving this horse a lot. And what I'm also very excited for is looking at my stable here quickly. This lady right here, T Money, is Jishin's full sister. Same amount of boosts, but it's a filly. So I'm hoping for just a fraction of Jishin's performance. If I can get Jishin's performance out of a filly, I'm going to be over the moon excited. Like, we'll definitely do many shirtless streams with tequila at that point. That will be a must. But she's hitting the track next week, so I absolutely cannot wait to see what she does. A lot of anticipation going into this. I think about it nearly every single day. So Jishin's doing great. Racing strategy is going to change. We're going to go slightly off preference, not totally off. But I'm getting crowned, and I'm also getting more data to see how he does off. I know where he is successful. He has an insane win rate. But I want to now kind of start to test some of those unknown areas, or those areas where I have not as much data, so I can fully learn as much as I can about this horse when the opportunity presents itself. Obviously, if there are times when it's perfect racing conditions, I'm going to pick those instead of going for that test. But I'd love to test longer distances. I don't think he'll do anything, but who knows? And I'd like to test kind of that yielding area more, just to really fully understand him. So yeah, he will be hitting the market. It is just a matter of the breed barn. Sorry, not the market, just a matter of time. In fact, you know what? I think I even listed him. I did. Yeah, listed horse. 650,000 Derby. That was on the 4th. And then I enlisted him less than 12 hours later. I think that was like an overnight thing. So, Siberia, I hope that answers your question. Is he too low of a grade? That really comes down to your stable, your strategy, and how you're looking to breed. But it's kind of a good segue, because we're going to be talking about breeding tonight and what that looks like. Yes, just 650,000 Derby. Absolutely. So this season so far, we'll kind of jump into tools actually right now. So Jishin so far has made 37,000, a little less than that, but still 37,000. We'll say 37.5 so far this season. So very, very happy with how he's racing. You can see fleet figures have shot down his at the end, and his profit has shot up. His 4 and 5 fleet figures are looking great here, and then his speed, and this is against all horses, not just his grade, when we change this to his grade, and you know what, we can even, we'll do this too. So he's an A minus. We look at A minus and we'll dial in that distance. This is one of the new features. We'll talk about some tool features and updates. But this is now a slider, so you can kind of drill down on distances a lot faster and a lot easier, a lot cleaner. But yeah, when we look at 4 and 5 alone, 63% win rate, 83% win play show, 53,000 profit so far. And yeah, you can see above the top end of that hinge, and his fleet figures are both well above. So loving the horse, having so much fun for him. This is the only real big update here. Outside of seasons, now all of them are checked. It's going to make looking at older horses a little cleaner, in that now the only change you have to make is this race time. So it's set to be 60 days ish of racing, but again, a little easier experience in terms of expanding that out. The other thing I want to talk about is the claiming corral. If you're not familiar with this, this is my newest tool for photo finish. This is a live updating that you just have to refresh the page, but the content updates throughout the day of all of the horses available to claim. Now it defaults to the race that is coming up next. So this is at 12:16 a.m. UTC. Got the current. Okay, so this one just passed. So this is 12:19. So in at 12:30, these will be wiped out because it updates every 15 minutes. And so along with this, you can filter on the horse name, the price, the grade, the preference, direction, surface condition, gender, age, injuries, fleet figure, biggest price, podium rate, and win rate. So in addition to just kind of the auto sorting, it's going to sort now by the recency of the race, and then it's going to sort by, and it's not showing here. We'll zoom out a little bit just so we can see all the columns. It is going to then sort by, I believe it's podium rate. Yeah, is the default. So you can see that that's kind of selected here, and you can see this is now descending. So for each race, you're going to get the most recent race. Then your horses are going to be auto-sorted by how successful they were in the podium. So the ones that you're looking at, if you don't hit any of these other filters, are going to be the top ones right there in that column. But, you know, flipping through saying, hey, are there any females available right now? Just click that twice. Okay, nothing, because that didn't change. You can set things like your direction to be greater than or equal to 2. And we'll do, hit that, hit enter, hit add condition. You can do then surface greater than or equal to 2. And then condition greater than or equal to 2. Hit enter. You'll see it's processing. And it'll immediately list out all of those horses. Now, if you have a certain preference, let's say you only want to focus on left, so you go to horse pref, and you can say starts with, and all you have to do is hit L. And immediately, this list that was much, much longer than what we're looking at now is down to 11 entries. So I can very kind of quickly, cleanly just get a nice kind of picture of what I'm looking at. And again, you can change this. So let's say, hey, let's look at now win rate, now that we've got this sorted the way we want it. And okay, Snickerdoodle, wow. Okay, but 83,000, is that in my budget? Does that make sense? Age 8. So I'd be looking really just for breeding purposes at that point. And again, you can filter on age 2 if you don't want to see the 8-year-olds. The other cool thing about this is now when I refresh this page, that these filters, these settings are going to stick. Now, there will be like a long time delay on it, but if, let's say, you know, you want to come back later in the day, hour later or so, all you have to do is hit refresh. You'll get a new list of horses that fit those criteria that you've established. So again, preventing you from having to go back and forth within claiming races. You can find all of the horses you could want or need in a claiming race simply by you can click the horse name, or you can go ahead if you click down. We'll go on the side. Click the race URL, and then you can go find the horse. So I'd find Snickerdoodle here. Boom, there he is. Place claim. The other updates, let's see. We'll go to breeder board. Oh, horsepower comparison. We'll go there next. Pretty simple. Just got rid of some old kind of outdated metrics, cleaned it up a little bit, and then just improved the alignment. Things were kind of off. It didn't look great. So happy to see that. I think they're in here right now. Yeah, 4 clovers. Won a wager that they placed using the horsepower comparison tool. And again, it'll come pre-populate, hit clear list. And so, for example, if I wanted to look at this, look at Jishin's last race. All I have to do is start at this top name, click, you'll get all this other text. Don't worry about that. Hit Control Copy, clear list. And it's just going to keep your horse name. So now we can say, okay, this was a shorter distance. I believe this is 4 furlongs. So we'll do 4 and 5. And this was this wasn't a maiden. And we'll get rid of handicap, or sorry, claiming as well. And you can see now that these stats will update in real time as I go through these. This was a yielding track. So I'll just go ahead and click out of all of those. And now we can quickly get stats on these horses. So you can see like there's a variety of different preferences. Look at the direction, surface, and condition, the number of races. Danzig's Halloween has run a ton of races under these conditions, averaging in, 3rd place, closer to 4th maybe. They hit the podium 52% of the time. And yeah, you can see profit. You can see HE, which is a stat that kind of looks at just like how powerful a horse is given certain conditions. And if you scroll down here, again, you want the higher numbers for speed and the lower numbers for finish. The way you can remember both of these, just to keep them straight, is the higher they are up on the charts, the better. So at 4 furlongs, I see Jishin up there. Cherry Knight, Danzig's Halloween. I see Zephyr, Jishin, Danzig's Halloween, and Cherry Knight. So if I go back to this race, let's see who did well. Danzig's Halloween was up there. Tor 2 ended up winning it. Now, if we change the event type to a handicap, see what happens there. Now we lose a bunch of the horses. That's okay. But we see Cherry Knight, Zephyr, Jishin, Trotter. Looks like that horse wasn't even in there. We didn't have data on that horse yet because it hasn't run it. Now let's say I go through all these filters. I've done my analysis, and sorry, Bryce. Maybe it'll come off just because you're here, Bryce. And I'm like, okay, shoot. I want to, look at the next race. All I have to do now, big bold letters, just click clear filters, and it will keep the entrance the same, but it'll reset all of your track, distance, registrant preferences, so you can go ahead, input your next race, and then filter accordingly. Now, the next tool, we're going to go to breeder board. Let's see if I added that in there yet. It's not up there. It is not. So no big changes here to like features, I'll say. Oh, shoot. I guess that got reverted. But one thing to note is the number of full races. Make sure this is dragged out. With my next update tomorrow, I'll have this saved over, but it'll just give you a more complete list of all the horses and how often they've run. Now, if you want to get rid of a lot of these zeros, all you have to do is just change that full races to 1, and it will give you a much cleaner look at the data. And again, you're looking at, we'll go down to weekend moderator. So go ahead, select sire. I'm just going to type it in, weekend moderator. Jishin's daddy. And you can see now we can moderator. He's an A grade. Here, all the horses that have bred with him, their grade, and the resulting foals that came from them. So, and then you can do a little sort as well. Oh, it's not going to do it because we have doubles over here, but you can quickly see the win percent and the win place show percent. If you scroll down, then this will also be updated, and you can kind of get a rolled up view of that. So 28 horses. Oh, filly percent. This is new. This is what I did. I knew I did something. So 57.14% of Mahdi's babies have been fillies. Sire improvement grade. So it has gone down. So if his grade is an A, that means it's gone down to an A minus. Average grade improvement, though, of the foals has actually gone up a little bit. 405 total foal races with a 22% win rate. And then you can see all of the females, their filly percent as well. So if we clear out Mahdi and we look at, we'll change that back to 0. See if we can sort by filly. Come on now. Oh, I just clicked it. That's why. See if we can. Yeah, there we go. So you can sort this. Again, if you want to look at, I might add a horse filter on here just so we can get rid of some of those ones. But if you look at Salty Sea Dog, 8 horses with 87% of those in Groot. So very high rates there. Will they stay? Don't know. Will they level out? Don't know. But now you can see the filly percent on all of those breeds. Look for a few more little tweaks like the track preference to come to this, just to make kind of that sorting and identification a little easier. Hopefully within a week. I've got a very busy week and I'm out of town next week, but we'll see what I can do in the meantime. But yes, changes coming to the breeder board. Then finally, and now we're going to get into the fun stuff. We're going to go to the breed barn. And then we're going to start looking at some fun charts and graphs and some things that I think you will find very interesting, chat. So if we go to this is again breed barn defaults, no big changes here except for GAC. So what is GAC? You'll see some of GAC over here, and then you will, I don't have it down there yet. Stud barn's being reworked. It's going to take some time, but it's being reworked. So GAC is the grade average counter. So GAC compares individual ratings like start, speed, stamina, finish, heart, and temper against the overall grade rating. It adds 1 for each rating that exceeds the average and subtracts 1 for those below. So if we look at Wabi Sabi, she's a B+. We look at start, how does that compare to her grade? That's also B+. If we look at her speed, that's an A-, so that's +1. If we look at stamina, that's also an A-, so that's a +1. If we look at finish, that's an A-, that's also +1. Heart is a B+, that's a 0. Temper is a B+, that's a 0. So Wabi Sabi's GAC is 3. Same thing for Weekend Moderator, because his speed, finish, and temper are all A+, which are above his grade of A, and he has no A- or anything below that. So why did I do this? Why did I think this was important? Really, it came down to just wanting to provide visibility into a potential metric that could provide strength to your breeding. And also, are you on, within your grade, are you on a higher end or are you on a lower end of that grade? So, if we have a GAC of 4, that's going to be really, really high. I think that's currently the highest. If we have a GAC that's negative, well, maybe we're on the lower end of that grade. So it's really just kind of that association. That is the kind of the purest look at it. Oh yeah, no, it is down here, right here. So some of GAC, you can filter on that in the breed barn. I think it's just cut off slightly. Again, breed barn's being reworked, but GAC currently ranges in studs from -3 to 4. Now, Does negative GAC mean it's going to be a bad horse or bad breed? Not necessarily, because this game is so beautifully nuanced that, even stats that don't quite make sense, you can still find performance there. So let's look now. This is the fun part at GAC and what that means in terms of performance on an average. So in this chart behind me, we're going to zoom in a little bit more on this. There we go. That's better. So what we're looking at now is the combined GAC of the parents. We'll scroll down to the bottom so you can get the scale. That's -6 all the way to 7. And so again, far left is -6, far right is 7. Now there are some filters applied to this data. So filters that I have on here are only looking at horses that are aged 2, 3, and 4. Horses with at least 25 races. Horses that are running to their preference match. So if you are a right turf soft and you run on a soft track, that is a preference match. If you run yielding, even if you have like 0.5 stars, that is not a preference match. And yeah, so those are the 3 filters. We've got track preference match, at least 25 races, and 2, 3, or 4-year-olds. Now, when we look at GAC in terms of win percent, these numbers above the bars are the number of horses. So we've got some kind of outliers, small sample sizes here. But you can kind of see that once we get to, so -6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, this should be 0 at 158. That's 1, sorry, so 0 is here at 84. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, I would kind of count these as outliers right now with very low sample size, slight dip there. But you can see that as the sum of the parent GAC increases, we're seeing an increase here, a trend in win percent. Now, if we look at win, play, show percent, very, very similar. Again, here's 0 at 84 and going up into the right. We'll see if I can kind of point these out on the screen. So the one I'm pointing out right now, 257, is 4. So looking at win, play, show, you can see that kind of goes up as well there. If we look at finish percent, again, to just kind of balance some things out, not just finishing top 3, looking at, larger field sizes, we can see, and I'll kind of get out of the way, but it goes down being good. You want low numbers for finish percent as GAC increases. Again, some low numbers here in the sample size, but once we get to 0, you can see it start to change. And I'll get out of the way, rolling it this way. So there may be something to GAC and performance. Now, I'm going to caution you in saying correlation is not causation. This isn't me definitively saying you need high GAC. They're definitely going to be outliers. And like I said earlier, this game is beautifully nuanced, and you can still find success without high GAC. The other thing I want to look at too, outside of GAC, because I hear the community talk about this a lot, is breeding matches. So if we look at, again, these are the same charts, same x-axis. If we look at this, so you're going to have same age filters, 2, 3, 4, races at least 25, and track preference match equaling true. So if we look at and we're starting at matches from 0, again, combined parent matches, 0 all the way through 10. And so if we, again, some outliers here at the end, but you can kind of see outside of 0, things kind of move up a little bit, but at a slower rate. So we're at 15% there, 20%, and that top bar for win is at 30%. So we're seeing a jump at 0, 1, 2, 3, then kind of levels off from 3, 4, 5. Then 6, 7, and 8 get very high again. And then 9 and 10, smaller, but very, very small sample size. Win, play, show percent, you can kind of see that go up as well. And average finish percent, again, we want to see that go down. You can see a very clear downward trend at the bottom. And I'll zoom out so we can see a little bit more of that. Again, correlation is not causation. There are outliers. You have people that are maybe crown farming, that are not racing correctly, are not dialed in, going to race the correct way every single time. There's going to be a lot of noise here. But then I thought, what happens? So we're seeing some trends in terms of a gradual trend when the combined parent matches increase, and also a trend for GAC in how that looks. So I thought, what happens if we looked at win percent and win play show percent when you kind of matrix out and combine GAC and breeding matches? And what does that look like? So here we go. So again, we've got outliers on the left. We've got outliers on the right. I'm really just kind of focused on the middle rectangle. But you can see in both cases that as, once you get the combined parent GAC, especially in the 2 through 7 range, and if you get breeding matches in the 3 through 7 range, that you are much more likely to be in the green. The top one is for win play show, and even more so for winning. If you're looking at really just so that's 5 GAC, and that is then looking at 4 through 8 in terms of matches. So there could be something even more there to combining these. Again, I can't guarantee, I'm not going to promise you anything, because there are going to be outliers, there are going to be cases, but the data seems to show that as you increase GAC and you increase breeding matches, and if you can overlay those things together, there is a increased likelihood, again, I won't guarantee, of some success. So if I look at Wabi and Weekend, there we have a 6 GAC and 6 matches. So if we go here, we're at parent GAC is 6 and 6. So if I go across at 6, it should be about here and here. So that's 55% on average podium rate. And Jishin's doing better than that, but that seems to be a good, fun combo. Again, breeding is much more nuanced, matching preferences, stars. There's, you could even look at distance preference potentially. There's a lot to this. This is not make or break. This is not all of it. But again, I just kind of wanted to illuminate the potential and what this actually looks like. Give you some sort of numbers and some quant behind the breeding matches, as well as GAC as metrics. Again, both of which are available up here, and then GAC and matches are also available down here for breeding. So if I look at a GAC of, let's say, 2, I would plug my mare up top. I know Wabi's 3 matches here. But again, factoring things like direction, surface condition, siblings for inbreeding, breeding price, grade, track preference, and just general alignment, absolutely you need to factor those things into. This is not the only thing. I know I've repeated that like 5 times now, but combine all of these things and I think you can have some success. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of the GAC overview and GAC with breeding matches. If you have any questions, please let me know. You want to talk about breeding evaluations, you want to talk about horse evaluations, you want to look at the breeder board, absolutely, please chat. Now is the time to do so as we get close to the end of the night. Going to go ahead and catch up on chat here. Let's see. Trot says, I think MJ is the first Neuralink human. Thank you, Trot. Appreciate that. Not even close. Mo says, mind-blowing stuff. Siberia says, where are those reports located? These are all offline. But I will include screenshots to these in I'll do a stream recap on Twitter. I will include screenshots to these for you all to look at, which will be easier to look at and higher resolution. in which will also include the color coded chart. Again, like please consider more to your breeding, but I found this to be very interesting. So yeah, that's where things are. It doesn't look like we have any questions on chat. Just gonna check the other channels quick. Thank you all for tuning in. I will be off next week as I will be traveling. I will be in Colorado. So look for some fun Twitter pictures and updates there. Going to celebrate Thanksgiving out there. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to a little break and disconnect. Not from streaming, not from photo finish. I'm still going to be racing all the time, but just from life. Good to take a little break. So I will see you all in 2 weeks, and hope your horses do well. Hope everyone, those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving, you have a fun, safe time with your family. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, chat. Appreciate you all.